Welcome to the Engineering Talks podcast. Today, in the days of bloody battles on the Donbass front, the naval component of Russian aggression against Ukraine falls out of the focus. Undoubtedly, the sinking of the Moscow cruiser and the battle for the Snake Island will remain among one of the most memorable episodes of this war. However, at the early stage of the war, the Kremlin made a big bet on the Black Sea Fleet. The price was deprivation of Ukraine's access to the Black Sea, through which the more than half of Ukraine's export took place before the war, and the corridor to Transnistria region of Moldova, occupied by Russia since 1992. Moscow's actions have once again highlighted NATO's vulnerability in the Black Sea region. Considering this, the position of Romania, which is the alliance's frontier on the Black Sea coast, is of particular importance for ensuring Euro-Atlantic security. The war had already stimulated the Romanian leadership to intensify defense procurement programs. I talked about the priorities of ensuring Romania's security with Eduard Simion, retired Brigadier General and Senior Associate Expert of New Strategy Center.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It gives me a great pleasure to offer this interview to my Ukrainian friends. Before starting, I will introduce myself with a few words, general background. So I'm a retired Brigadier General of Romanian Armed Forces. Basically, my background consists of few important milestones. Among them, I will point out that I was the first director of the NATO Human Center of Excellence, who together with my team, I start up these institutions in Oradea, the city I live right now. Secondly, after that, I was appointed as a SAC-T representative in NATO headquarters in Brussels, and subsequently I was part of the military committee for 3 years. For operational part, I have 3 deployments: Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan, all NATO and coalition missions. I'm an infantry person, but later on I joined the military intelligence service. And the last part of my career, I served in the Romanian MOD in Bucharest as a deputy for the Secretary of Defense in the Romanian MOD. So currently, as I said, I'm retired, but I teach. I have a conference professor job in the University of Oradea. I'm teaching security studies, and in parallel, I keep busy myself as part of the New Strategy Center, a think tank, security think tank in Romania. And I'm a senior associate fellow in that institution.
Mr. Simion, how did Romania's security and defense policy change after February 24, 2022? What are the current priorities in this area?
The Black Sea is a top priority for us, and the evolution of the Russian with the advancement in the south come just to justify these concerns. The maritime threats spectrum is consistent that Russia still owns an important naval capability, although their loss in this domain are consistent and literally has forced them to act more discreet in the last period, if I may say so. However, as I said, Russia is reportedly still in possession of important naval capabilities, including surface war vessels with long-range strike missiles, underwater assets, including nuclear submarines, and of course, Navy air support and IS armaments. However, we are all observing the manner Ukraine succeed in securing, particularly the southeast part of the littoral, and these are good premises to build upon a more consistent defense in the future. As I said, Romanian forces will allocate important resources to reinforce the defense at the Black Sea, and we hope this will accelerate, will be accelerated in the next period of time.
To what extent the capture of Snake Island by the Russians was unexpected for the Romanian Navy?
The Snake Island is seen as key terrain in the region by us, and this may provide an excellent monitorization avant-post as well as a static strike launching platform. The capture in itself, it was not necessarily unexpected, but rather creating concerns. the island, proximity to the shore, and the energy extraction platforms make the small island important to us. But we all learned pretty soon that the island is easy to be taken, but much harder to be maintained due to its geography and remote location. Again, I will use the opportunity to applaud the heroism demonstrated by the Ukrainian soldiers during those fights. You are all an example for all of us and to the rest of the world. And there is no exaggeration in what I'm saying. The particular event in Snake Island, it's a solid example.
Has the viewpoint on the rearmament of the Romanian Armed Forces changed?
I think the best way is to give you a short priority list so we can all figure out where we are going. These are public information. There is no problem in that. We have the investment program for the period 22-24, and we have programs and contracts in progress already. And here we have surface-to-air missile system HSM Patriot. We also have Piranha V armored personnel carrier, MLRS system, HIMARS, Air Force multi-role aircrafts, mobile anti-ship missile launch system, SIML, revitalization and modernization of IAR aircrafts. And we also have programs currently being signed or initiated. And here we have multifunctional corvettes, 40 numbers. We have tactical operational UAV system, class 2. And there we have the light armored tactical vehicles, ATBTU, C4I systems with ISTAR integration capabilities, infantry fighting machine crawler, MLI, the cybersecurity and defense system, tactical UAV systems class 1, mobile electronic warfare system RESM, a very short range portable and aircraft missile system MANPAD, SHORAD integrated weapon system, NATO type individual weapon system, optoelectronic apparatus stage 1, the CBRN equipment as well, and modernization on anti-aircraft artillery system to the standard of anti-aircraft artillery system with the CRAM capabilities. Last but not the least, continue with the equipment of the Air Force with multi-role aircraft by purchasing a package of 32 F-16. As you may see, the list is pretty long, but most of them goes into the maritime and naval area, into a consistent package concerning not only the vessels in itself, but in a larger assembly, including cyber, UAVs, artillery systems, and so on. So the spectrum of acquisition is pretty large. I think it was to be mentioned right now here that the budget has been increased already in the last 2 years at 2% of the GDP. And last year, the president announced, starting this year, a 2.5, which is a significant increase in the budget. Understanding the importance of the acquisition capability acquisition process, so we believe that we can do our homeworks in the timeline fixed already, and come up with a solid and consistent package of capabilities able to give us credibility in especially in the maritime domain.
How do you assess the idea of boosting cooperation between Romania and Ukraine in the defense sphere, being allies in the Black Sea?
As for Black Sea, as I already mentioned, Black Sea is very high on our national agenda, and we are looking for durable solutions. This solution can only come, in my view, from the nations at the Black Sea, and Romania and Ukraine should definitely provide an example in coordinating, and I insist not cooperating, but coordinating closely at the Black Sea defense plans. The efforts could be enlarged with Bulgaria, or should be enlarged with Bulgaria and Turkey at minimum. On the other hand, a stronger permanent force is limited by the Montreux Convention, as you may know, which is a serious limitation in designing any further larger project, at least at this point. We also know that there are discussions in the US, for example, and some at the beginning in NATO as well, largely in the US, by defining or designing a Black Sea strategy in the US Senate. And this may bring some new elements in the future. I think we should look carefully at that and provide inputs whenever necessary for a solid solution. So the answer is absolutely yes. We cannot see any durable solution in this area without the close coordination. This is critical, it's key terrain, and we simply cannot let the Russians to advance more than they have done already in this part of the sea.
Will Romania support Moldova's decision to become a NATO member?
Romania is doing or is planning all its moves and efforts in close coordination with our allies. We are part of NATO, and we are always coordinating any move and any plan we may have in close coordination with NATO to provide a coherence and consistency in the alliance. And this applies to Moldova as well. You're right, Moldova is in a very fragile position. They are right now crossing through a pretty turbulent period politically, but not only. And the means they have available to defend themselves, they are very, very limited. Simply, they cannot count on them in a case of a conflict. So we are also aware about that. Romanian efforts to support Moldova at this point are firstly oriented to support their access to the European Union. So this is where I see the first option and the first efforts to go. We will provide, of course, non-combat support at this point, including education, military education, but not only. So mentorate in many aspects. Now, regarding the position, Moldovan government has, and I quote you, being kind of reluctant. I would remember the present position, and I remember quite well. She said that they are carefully looking for a solution to be part of the alliance, if I'm not wrong, if my memory is not wrong. On the other hand, and you're right, the transition of the government from the previous status, and we all know that was not necessarily well oriented to Western, let's be honest with that, to a new one, and the signs are pretty encouraging. Everyone admit that the signs we see, at least at the presidential level, are very, very encouraging, and we don't see any hesitation, at least at that level, in this effort. So again, going back, the transition is not easy. The turmoil, the political turmoil there will probably continue a period of time. And the only solution could help in that matter and in this period with a continued support, not only by Romania, but the entire European Union and NATO. And I know there is such a support, strongly mentioned every time by all the nations. And I think the solution of Moldova is simply to stay focused and being oriented unilaterally to the West, with no hiccups, with no syncopes this time, left and right, with no hesitations, let's put it in. A position oriented firmly towards NATO and EU can only be the solution on mid-long term.
Subscribe here to receive more videos from the new Geopolitics Research Network.